Chapter 14. The right of the preacher, what is it and how should it be implemented? My answer to those who examine me is this: do we not have authority to eat and to drink? Do we not have authority to lead about a sister, a wife, as well as other apostles, and as the brothers of the Lord do, and Cephas? Or is it only Barnabas and I who have no authority whether not to work? Who serves as a soldier at his own wages at any time? Who plants a vineyard and does not eat of its fruit? Or who feeds a flock and does not partake of the milk of the flock? Do I say these things according to man? Or does not the law say the same also? For it is written in the law of Moses, "You will not muzzle an ox threshing grain." Does God take care for oxen? Or does he say it altogether for our sakes? It was written for us, so that he who plows should plow in hope, and so that he who threshes in hope should be partaker of his hope. In this passage, Paul is taking the common sense of farming and government to explain that it's not wrong for a person who works to be paid. Yet, he is not saying that we should demand money from people and base our demand on certain scriptures. He is simply explaining the common sense of serving and receiving support for what you have done. The logic is clear: if you work, it is not wrong to eat of the fruit of your labor. If we have sown to you spiritual things, is it a great thing if we will reap your carnal things? If others have a share of this authority over you, rather should not we? But we have not used this authority, but we endured all things lest we should hinder the gospel of Christ. Do you not know that those who minister about holy things live of the things of the temple? And those attending the altar are partakers with the altar. Even so, the Lord ordained those announcing the gospel to live from the gospel. But I have used none of these things, nor have I written these things that it should be done so to me, for it is good for me rather to die than that anyone nullify my glorying. For though I preach the gospel, no glory is to me. For necessity is laid on me, yea, woe is to me if I do not preach the gospel. For if I do this thing willingly, I have a reward, but if against my will, I am entrusted with a stewardship. What then is my reward? That when I preach the gospel I may make the gospel of Christ without charge, that I may not abuse my authority in the gospel. 1 Corinthians 9 verse 11 to 18. Paul never thought that he needed to be rewarded with an offering for his preaching. In fact, the real reward, for Paul, was to make the gospel without charge. Make the gospel without charge means that Paul did not charge to preach. Charging to preach the gospel, or demanding giving, would be abuse of one's right as a preacher. We have no right to charge money for our preaching, we only have a right to receive money should people give it freely, should it not be a hindrance to the gospel. For though I am free from all, yet I have made myself servant to all, so that I might gain the more. And to the Jews I became as a Jew, so that I might gain the Jews. To those who are under the law, I became as under the law, so that I might gain those who are under the law. To those who are outside law, I became as outside law, so that I might gain those who are outside law. To the weak I became as the weak, so that I might gain the weak. I am made all things to all men, so that I might by all means save some. And this I do for the sake of the gospel, so that I might be partaker of it with you. 1 Corinthians 1 verses 19 to 23. What the above passage does not say. It does not say that because the tithe belongs to God we should take it to the local church. It does not say we can demand money from people if we have preached to them. It does not say the Abrahamic tithe was still active. It does not say today's preacher has all the rights of the Old Testament priest. It does not say we can take the old Jewish laws and demand money from people. It does not say that we can ask money for preaching the gospel. It does not say the people you preach to should feel burdened to care for you. It does not say people will receive more money if they give money. It does not say we are allowed to make merchandise of the church. It does not say you can expect money from the individual. We expect our provision from the gospel, and while that is through the people we minister to, an expectation cannot be placed on the individual that he or she must give to you. I can expect that I will have provision through preaching, but not expect a specific church to give to me when I preach there. It does not say we can make a business of the church, by making preaching our occupation and the church our source of income. It does not say the preacher should preach because he needs money, but because of the burning desire God has placed in his heart for people to know the gospel. What the passage does say, it does say that it's not wrong to live off the gospel as a preacher. It does say that it's not a sin to receive the giving that is freely given. It does say that one should not muzzle the ox and refuse to allow the preacher to receive from the people who want to give to him from a heart of generosity. It does say that it's basic knowledge in law, farming, government, and the gospel that people can live from what they do. It does say we should not be antagonistic towards those who are willing to leave their jobs and live off the free will giving of the people to whom they minister. It does say the concept of receiving, from those who give to you when you preach, is not a man-made concept, but something ordained by God. It does say that it can be better not to make use of the right in some instances. From this passage, we can extrapolate that Paul was under the scrutiny of people who were very money-conscious. They were questioning the motive of his preaching. Because they thought Paul should not get any food, lodging, or any form of provision from the people to whom he preached, Paul defends the right of preachers to have material care from the people to whom they minister. The right he is talking about is not in the context of demanding provision, but receiving on account of the fruit the gospel brings forth in the believer. When Paul talks about the right to reap material things when spiritual things are sown, it should always be seen in the context of generosity and not demanded giving. What I would like to make clear is that Paul said it was not a big thing if people, from the love of their hearts, give to the preacher that has helped them to see the fruit of the Spirit come forth in their life. Should a preacher's right be exercised, by demanding that the people give to him, it will give place for all kinds of evil, just as the traditional teaching on sowing and reaping, tithing, and seed faith has done. I am sure people said things like, Paul only preaches for the money, he goes to towns without having a job. Who does he think must provide for him? Is he expecting the people to take care of him? I am sure he is only in this for the money. Paul is not saying a preacher has the right to demand money from people because he ministers to them. He is simply saying it is not wrong to receive money or provision from the people to whom you minister. Receiving from those that you minister to is proper, yet it is not the end goal of ministry. We see Paul addressing this in his letter to Timothy, when he states that those who labor in word are worthy of the support they receive. Paul is telling Timothy he should allow support to those who have no other income on account of giving themselves to the word and teaching. Let's make that practical. When someone ministers and you are not muzzling the ox, you will provide the opportunity for people to follow the generosity in their hearts towards the preacher. This will be all that is needed for the preacher to have enough to live. You should not manipulate and make promises about how God will bless the givers if they give to the preacher. This would be wrong and unbiblical. Let me put this in even clearer terms. Paul is saying that you cannot demand a car from the people in your church, but if they want to give you one, on account of the word bearing the fruit of generosity in their hearts, you have the right to receive it. Making use of the right you have as a preacher would be to take what they freely give. Not making use of your right, as a preacher, would be to turn it down when they want to give it. Paul expected provision from churches, but the expectation was between him and God, not him and the people. Between him and God, not him and